Now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks, Susan, and thank you for tuning in to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Rich Walsh. I'll be joined by Ron Cook in just a couple minutes, so give us a call, 412-575-2600. The topic for tonight's discussion, tonight's show, is James Harrison. Again, his first practice in New England, but the controversy today came out of the Steelers' locker room and what some of these guys had to say about Harrison and what kind of teammate he was, especially the last few weeks, and some of the stuff that he's done, like not go to meetings. Marquise Pouncey started it, was very outspoken. Bud Dupree on his show later tonight talked about him not showing up to meetings, and he was there to be a mentor and didn't even come close to doing that with him and T.J. Watt. And it's very interesting that this stuff is coming out now. Jerry Dulac of the Post-Gazette wrote a story tonight that I'll be in the Post-Gazette tomorrow, interviewed James Harrison, the first and since he went to the Patriots, and he just said he wanted to release. He was told one thing, and that never came about. He said he was going to get 25 snaps a game, and he got about 40 snaps the entire year. So I think between the two, it's somewhere in the middle, Ron. Obviously, he wasn't happy being here. He didn't get what he was promised, and the Steelers are unhappy that he went to New England.
Well, yeah, I mean, it changes the whole tone, I would think. None of us that are around the team, they kept this all very quiet. If Harrison was a disruptive force, none of us knew it on the outside. None of the players, even off the record, would whisper anything bad about this guy. Now, all of a sudden, he signs in New England, and he doesn't go to meetings. He falls asleep in meetings. The worst thing I saw, I forget who reported it. Somebody said he wouldn't go see Ryan Shazier in the hospital. I mean, if that's true, that's just despicable. I think they're trying to defend Tomlin in this in the organization, but if Tomlin put up with all this stuff, shame on him. No one player can be bigger than the team, but I still wouldn't have released him. You kept him all year. If he wanted released, you know what? We're not going to let some disgruntled guy tell us what to do here. I think that sets a bad tone. I'd have kept him for these last 2 weeks, not played him. Kept them, and then at the end of the year you move on. So I get it. It's a tough spot for Tomlin because Harrison's an all-time legend in the organization. But you can't let a guy sleep in meetings, not show up at meetings. They said when he wasn't going to be active, he wouldn't stay for the games. If that's true, Tomlin was quite the enabler, in my opinion. But I wouldn't have released him last week. I'd have kept him, let him sit.
But at some point, do you want a disgruntled employee working for you?
Sounds like they kept him all year and he was disgruntled.
Yeah.
But I guess it hit the fan, so to speak, with the New England game, which was only 2 weeks ago. According to Harrison and Dulac's story, said he was promised, this is a big game, you're going to play, and he never played a snap. And he just said that was it. He said, I'm not going to believe anything they say. So maybe it became more untenable. I don't know. It's an ugly situation from that standpoint, but it's still a great story if he plays for New England against the Steelers in the AFC Championship game. Now I really can't even wait to see it more.
Yeah, tremendous storyline. But, hey, my question is to you. Do you actually think he can help New England?
I don't know. I think he might still be able to help as a pass rusher. Again, if he has to play Kansas City, we've seen him own Eric Fisher, the tackle from Kansas City. Maybe he'll be able to help New England in the first game if that's who they play. I don't think he's going to play a lot of plays. I don't think they're going to ask him to cover anybody. He can't do that, but can he still rush the passer? We'll find out. I don't think New England just brought him for the intel to New England to get the Steelers' secrets. I think they brought him there because they think he can play. Whether he can or not, we'll find out. Sounds like he's going to play Sunday against the Jets.
Yeah, Jerry said 30 snaps. But on the flip side of things, Ron, I mean, obviously he might be able to help the Patriots figure out some things with the Steelers, but the Steelers know this guy all too well and maybe know how to beat him if he's in there as well.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a fact. I mean, he might play in some pass rush situations, and yeah, he and Villanueva have gone against each other in practice for years now, and I see Villanueva spoke very highly about him, said I love him. So there's different perspectives on all this. And as you said, the truth's probably somewhere in the middle, but the bottom line is it's still a great story.
The only thing really controversial with James Harrison this year, I mean, maybe at the beginning of the year he didn't really, you could tell he didn't like the fact that T.J. Watt was going to be the guy, and he was going to be
They told him that at the beginning of the season.
But remember when it came out from Joey Porter, and he wasn't too happy. And the other time this year, when Villanueva went up front, didn't someone talk to him and say?
He said, "I thought we were all in this together."
Yeah, exactly. Right. Those are the only two times. But I mean, I
never thought that was something that was tearing apart the team, and I don't think, as Pouncey said, you know, we deal with all this stuff. They've had so much controversy, and drama this year. This is just the latest chapter of it, and now the fact that he ends up in New England just makes it that much sexier.
Yeah, it's definitely a good soap opera for the Steelers and the Patriots, and I think that's what you're going to see in the AFC Championship. But I wouldn't be surprised if either one of these teams don't make it to the AFC Championship. They got to get there.
They got some work to do to get there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Patriots are going to struggle whether they play Kansas City or Baltimore. And I think the Steelers obviously will struggle against Jacksonville if that's who they beat, if that's who they're playing in the first round.
There's no guarantees for either one. Although you got to like the Patriots' chances. They've been to the AFC Championship game 6 years in a row. Think about that.
Yeah.
This will be the 7th if they get there.
And I think that, you know, the hot pick right now, I see a lot of experts out there picking Jacksonville to go to the Super Bowl. So
yeah, except they just gave up 44 points to San Francisco.
And they really don't have a quarterback. And I think
and they're there for the first time. Yeah. You know how hard it is when you're into something like that for the first time. We'll see. It's going to be fun. I'll continue to hope and wish that it's Pittsburgh, New England in the title game.
All right, we're going to take a break right now, but Ron, I want to get your opinion on who should play and who should not play in this Cleveland game coming up, and I'd like to get your opinion out there, so give us a call, 412-575-2600, right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Ireland Contracting, experts in roofing, so if you need a new roof, make sure you call Ireland Contracting. Back in a couple minutes.